Good afternoon from Yummy BTV. Wishing you all well, sending loads of love to you all as usual. Lord, this one's going to be a little bit explosive, probably a little bit controversial as well, but depending on which way you swing. And I reiterate on Yummy BTV that we always got our favourites in this life. Don't feel too bad about when someone says to you, I get it every day when someone says, no, Yummy, it went like this, and that it doesn't go in the man's favour that I want it to. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that I can't value other people's opinions, especially when it's said by some main figures from that life, if you get what I mean. Now, many times along the years, I've judged people on the spot, right? On first appearances. Like, I've been in jail, I see someone weak, at a given moment, a big name, and I think, oh, he's not all that. Gordon Bennett, he bottled it. Wow, he got mugged off there. And I carry that with me until I go somewhere else. I see the geezer again, and I'm looking at him thinking, wow, I remember. Because you remember when we're young and we're going through, we do tend to book things on. I got taken in by that life of who was hard and who was bad. It doesn't mean nothing to me no more. But then I saw the geezer in another place, right? And I know he looked at me and he's thinking he was there that day. There's only 5 people there. But I know that this geezer Yummy, he was there. He might think I'm a proper mug. Just saying. Thinking what other people are thinking could be wrong. Maybe he doesn't really care. Maybe it was just on that day that he was weak, and that we all get weak moments during being confronted at given times. So I did book it though, sadly, right? And then I got surprised. He went and done something that was more contrary to the reputation and name that he had. And it was a big thing. And I thought, I will never, ever think funny about him again. You see what I mean? So when people describe stories, this is what I'm getting at, is they're telling you about what they saw at that time. We talked about Russell McVicker, many others are going to come on my show and respond. I'm telling you, I've got a list coming up. You lot are in dreamland with Uncle Yummy. And he says, Frankie Fraser, he says, Yummy, no, I put him up there. Another one who gets spoken about in, there's different opinions from different sources and different areas. I have to wonder sometimes that it's more of a case who you didn't get on with, that badmouth and start other rumours and take away the legacy of certain men. I've fallen for it, you know what I mean? I won't fall for it no more because you know where my head's at the longer that I've been out. And then you get other people that come in and say, no, Yummy, that bit did happen. That bit, I was there. And they when they saw him, they said, no, he weren't all that. And no, not fair. What I'm saying today is, you asked me about Dave Courtney, right? And I'll break my silence on this. And then I tell you, factually, what happened with Croxton versus Lenny McLean. And get ready for this one, like it or not, right? Now, you asked me about Dave Courtney. What do I think? I broke it down in layman's terms during a comment this morning that I believe that Dave Courtney could have a row. Maybe not to the elite level that many of the big name fighters, billbomb, delcroxton, Lenny McLean, those kind of fighters, Cliff Fields and blah, blah, blah. Not to that level, but he could look after himself. It's also fair to say that those little percentages of being an elite fighter with Dave Courtney, right? Because remember, I don't really know him. I just know what I've been seeing and what I've been told over about 50 years, right? Is that he makes up for it with his character. His phone book was full of people that he had links all over the gaff because he's entertaining and he's got the gift of the gab. So he makes up for it with that kind of thing that other men might not have, if you get what I mean, right? Be fair is fair. The rumours that come out and keep coming out about not just Dave Courtney, every single name, big name that ever lived that life, there's something said about him. Either the police or the nonce or whatever. There's something mentioned from somewhere. The one thing that you lot have never ever showed me with Dave Courtney is the facts and the evidence of who he did this to. You know what I mean? It's always word of hearsay and hearsay. So they've done the same to Albert Redding on different matters, private matters. I don't know whether those things are true. They've done the same to Frankie Fraser. The Richardsons, Uncle Yummy steps back a little bit on this one as well because, the longer that I've been out, I've been a lot of places. And the Richardsons were rated a bit more higher than what I thought. I knew they were rated. I knew the Richardsons were rated, but it seems that their stuff seems to be a bit more truer, rounded. I get the worrying sometimes that Albert Redding done this one and done that one. I wasn't there. You know what I mean? I've got to be honest about this. I've seen people out there going, Yummy, it never took place, mate. And I said, yeah, but he said that it did. But Yummy, they wasn't there. You know what I mean? So I can't. I sit on the fence on that one now. So I'm not backtracking. I'm just spending more time out, visiting this one and that one and that one, old school, new school, all eras Uncle Yummy met. This is the difference between a lot of them older only knew one set of people. They didn't know the generation below or the generation below that. Not blowing my own trumpet and all that. But I step back on that one a little bit now, right? Not saying it didn't happen, but I can't say categorically with the balance of the scales on either side that it did. With Frankie Fraser, I was guilty of booking what this one said. Yeah, but Yummy, he was only small. He was this and that, the dentist, and that's all it was when people tied up. Apparently not. You know what I mean? There's the same 50% that say that. There's the same 50% that no, Yummy, it was. You know what I mean? I'll go into some of these stories, but I haven't got actually permission for that kind of stuff. Now, with Dave Courtney, it's got you look like it or lump it. He was probably the most loved doorman that ever existed. He probably was at that time. Was he? Look. Do I look at him as a hard man or a gangster? I look at more Dave Courtney, right? And this is hand on heart. I look at him more as a hard man, come charismatic figure. Yeah? He had the knack of making people laugh, mate. He did, he does, and still does. And he's still going strong. So it's not for me to pour scorn in it. The one thing, again, I balance it out properly. He goes up there recently on a couple of podcasts and he talks about his love for billbomb and yes, Bill and da-da-da-da. But the reality is, all of us lot from that live know that billbomb hated Dave Courtney. Yeah, but he did. He couldn't stand him, right? But I'm not going to go into it no more. But sorry, Dave, that is facts, right? There's 25 people that will come up here and say, no, Dave, he didn't like it. But that's not what we're saying. I'm just balancing up the scales of things that are put forward in your favour and certain things, you know, you talked about him in a good light. So it's not for me really to speak ill of the dead and say, but hold on, Dave, billbomb didn't like you though. I'm just saying, you see what I mean, for clarity, for my audience when they're asking me these questions. You know what I mean? So forgive me, mate. Yeah? And I know that's fact. Right, you probably do too, right? But no hard feelings, Uncle Dave, right? So I got to be honest, right? I wear my heart on my sleeve, especially these days. So then we get round to Delcroxton, rest in peace. Those that know Delcroxton will know exactly what I mean, mate. And this is where we talk about hard men and gangsters and the difference of what it means. So whether you could beat this one up physically, but would you even attempt to? Are you a bad man for him? You know, would you step out of line for him? You beat everybody else up. Why wouldn't you fight certain big names? I told you about Lenny McLean and billbomb. There's many out there. You lot say, yeah, but Lenny could do billbomb. No, he wouldn't try. He didn't dare try. The real figures around everything would tell you that, Yummy, they were all petrified of who I say was the hardest man of all time, billbomb. Yeah? Delcroxton, Lenny McLean. Came to my attention the other day, right? And this is fact as well. Now, Delcroxton was a bit billbombish, but a little bit more sympathy, right? More of a helper. I'm not saying that Bill would help his best mates out in a dying cause, 100%. But Delcroxton, right? When everybody that met him, he was that gentlemanly giant who was morally correct and politically correct on absolutely everything. The man was a man mountain and a scandal in a man while he's dead. Yeah? I'm telling you, that is true. Delcroxton and Lenny McLean had words, mate, in front of a big audience that someone was trying to get through the crowd. Lenny batted him up, mate. He batted him up, gripped him up, threw him all over the place. But he didn't know that he was with Delcroxton, right? Delcroxton standing about free back, talking, holding court. Delcroxton with them glasses on. When he takes them off and looks serious, listen to me, you better have run. And I don't care what anyone's saying, mate. I stand by what I know and what I saw all my life, right? And I'm telling you, he walked up to Lenny McLean and he said to him, listen, mate, take your hands off him. He's with me. And he put his hand on him. Well, he was half gone already. The geezer Lenny was grabbing off anyway. He had him at a distance and was just holding him, basically, shaking him around like a rag doll, like Lenny could. So we know that he had that in his artillery. The minute he saw Delcroxton, he said, he said, let go of him. And Delcroxton was looking at him really, really serious. And Lenny just goes, Del, I didn't know he was with you, Del. And blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you the difference between Delcroxton is a hard man, and a gangster. Yeah, his name's put forward in a lot of things, Bob Matthews. Forget what they did to him with the gear in there, right? He was not a proper gearhead. He was a prison drug addict and did things in prison. On the outside, it wasn't really like that, Bob. It wasn't, right? Lenny McLean would beat most men up in a straight thing. He wouldn't fight Bill the Bomb, and he would never dream of fighting Del Croxton. Would he win those fights with those two? I don't know. It never happened. But I know the exchanges suggest Lenny doesn't really take backward steps from people. You're in different territory when you're dealing with men like Bill the Bomb, and more so Del Croxton, because after all, Bill the Bomb weren't no weapon man, right? Let's have that right. Del Croxton was a bit of everything, mate. He was a really imposing figure. I'm going to get someone on here soon, and they're going to come up here and they're going to break it down to you, and I'll be letting off more bombs about it. But going back to calling people names and all that, every single villain, the Craze as well, everyone's name's clouded with some kind of thing that interferes with their legacy. Kenny Noy. Only thing they don't say nothing about Terry Adams. There's nothing to say about who I say was the greatest of all time from that Life as a Longfellow. Without a shadow of a doubt, I separate him from absolutely everyone put together. And I've told you like this, and you'll understand why again one day, right? Those two, there's not really much to say. No bad mouth. There's nothing behind the scenes. No things, and all only made up by social media and press trying to get their own back for stuff that they couldn't get them on. It was always as simple as that for me to work out. But the one figure that stood out for me throughout this whole life of what I've watched since I've been out, the people that I've met, we knew about Jimmy Huzzy as well, and I didn't want to say it, but Jimmy Huzzy was the one. Rest in peace. Jimmy Huzzy told me about Del Croxton and Lenny McLean, right? But I didn't want to tell you that because I love Jimmy Huzzy, right? And you know when he told me that, and you know that I did a video way back in the day with it. But I love Jimmy Huzzy, and I put him at the top of the tree as one of the realest, loving men that I ever met from that life, from the old school. It's interesting that a few of the train robbers, they carried themselves proper right to the end. There's no skeletons around, none of them. No bad mouthing or funny things being said about them. There was about Biggs, there was about Reynolds. There's other little bits about some of them, but the Wisby, Huzzy, and a couple of more of them. There's not much behind the scenes stuff, right? Now, what's I going to say, man? Foreman. I learned from my young days. I was with them all in the 80s, right? And I heard all the stories about Foreman. Now, I have to tell you that since I've been out, all the old places I've been, people's husbands, wives, kids, blah, 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 I sat down and I listened to them. I watched Freddie Foreman's interview because I believe when he talks, it's from the heart, mate. I'll be honest with you, mate, and everything ties in together for me. And there's no one that's ever said nothing about Foreman. And that yet all the tones down there in East and South and North, the Brindle, every single person that ever was in it, they all come to the same conclusion. Yeah, I mean, no, the governor was Freddie Foreman. They do. They all say the same thing. They've got no reason to. They're not from there, man. And they're not friends with Freddie Foreman. But he's the only one I would say, apart from the other big two that I mentioned just now, he's the only one. There's no real skeleton. There's nothing. It's a man that when he talks, there's no bullshit. I look around me every day and I look at people and I go, drop me out, mate. You know what I mean? But yet when he talks, I look and I go, that bit's right. And this bit's right, and the way he explains it, he's a proper geezer, that Freddie Foreman, and my lot, they all say the same thing, right? So I'll just come up there to do that. Sorry if it's a bit controversial, but Uncle Yummy, once again, tells you exactly what I know.